She told me a day or two in her office, she said, if you don't pass this test, we're going to have to put you back and you're going to start all back over from day one. Mm-hmm. And that right there was my waking up point of saying that I can do this. And after going through the 500-word essay, writing it out, memorizing it, and acting it out on stage, I won the prize, and I was offered to go to a few other agencies. And I went to an agency, the Goodwill Industry in Lakeland, accepted me after getting out of the drug center. They worked with me. They talked with me. They helped me get a job. And forwarding on that, would nobody give me a job at first, but the first person gave me a job on Cypress Garden Boulevard. There was a man that opened up Pat NutriStar Car Wash.
Oh, wow.
Not knowing that Pat was going through some of the same things I was going through, but he did not want me to know. So when I came and told him my story, I didn't even fill out the application. He hired me on the spot.
Wow.
And I was washing cars and doing things. And then I went, after about 6 months of working with Pat, NutriStar Car Wash, I went to a drug rehab. I went to a drug meeting, Alcohol Anonymous, and who I see there, the supervisor and the owner of the car wash. And he said to me, please don't tell nobody that I got a problem.
Wow.
And I said, and we started out the best of friends then, and we're still the best of friends now. I still support Pat's NutriStar Car Wash on Cypress Garden Boulevard in Winter Haven, Florida. And after him giving me a job, and then I worked with him for years. I worked with WSR 1490 radio station with Brother Joe Fisher for about 10 years or better. Mm-hmm. And Joe Fisher, as a radio station manager, he was from Miami. He was from West Palm Beach. He had been in the radio business for over 50 years. He shot me down and talked to me, and he called me his godson. Mr. Joe Fisher is still radio broadcasting after 55 years of radio broadcasting. And he was a great mentor, and I worked with him for over 10 years. And what really changed me was when I came back from all that drug center and all that incarceration, and my mother and father picked me up from where I was located at, and I was on the way home, and my father told me, he said, son, I haven't said nothing. He said, but it's now time for me to speak as your father. I've worked hard all my life. Your mother was running up and down the road, going to all the alcohol and drug abuse places and jails. He said, but this is ending today. That was in 1997 when it all ended. It ended. I came home from jail and the rehab center, and I came home, and my dad told me, I got out of the car. He said, son, go in the backyard and stand up these two garbage cans that was turned upside down. When I picked the garbage can up and put the garbage can on top of the other one, I didn't even see my father. He had a 30-06 shotgun. He shot the shotgun, and it put a big hole in the trash can, and it went over the fence into the neighbor's yard. And I said to my father, Daddy, what time you say church start? He said, tonight you're going to the revival at the Church of God by Faith. Dr. Jonathan L. McKnight from Sanctuary of Praise in Orlando, Florida, was preaching a revival. That was a Thursday, early Friday day by the time we got done with everything. And I had to go to probation officers and everything. Mm-hmm. So we did that. Daddy shot the shotgun. I told him what time church started. So I went to a revival. But before I went to the revival, one of my deacons from Winn-Dixie, I had to go and apologize to him. He was a manager of a grocery store. His name, Jeffrey Jerome Jackson. He was chasing me out of the store. He was trying to pray for me. I was stealing steaks and cigarettes, and I was coming in with fake checks, and he was okaying them. I was getting the money, and he was trying to talk to me. He was trying to pray with me. Every time I got incarcerated, he came to the jail to see about me. This man never gave up on me. So finally, after 5-6 years, I got out of jail and prison and everything I was going through. I went on the 3rd Street to Jeffrey Jerome Jackson's house. I sat down with him and I talked to him and I told him, thank you. Many times he chased me out of Winn-Dixie. He did not. He called the police. He had the police. They captured me, but he just prayed for me and told me to give the merchandise back to the store. This is a true friend. This is a man of God that I love. And I went to his house and I sat down and talked with him the night before the revival. And he says, I got to go to work. But he said, I'm praying and I'm expecting great things tonight at the revival. So when I went to the revival, Dr. Jonathan L. McKnight of Sanctuary of Praise, Orlando, Florida, was preaching in Winter Haven, Church of God by Faith, 129 Palmetto Avenue. He stated that God sent him to the church that night, that there would be a man bound of cocaine that would come to the church, and that he would try to leave the church. Now, if he leave the church and go out the church, he's going across the street and get some drugs, it's going to bust his heart wide open. He's going to die. But if the man don't go across the street, if he comes to the altar and give his life to the Lord, then he would be, as the drug lady said, that he would travel the world, have stadiums, he would preach and talk to people all around the world. So after the Dr. McKnight said that, I got up to go to the bathroom and I was going to tip on out the church. Mom and Daddy was a deacon. They was back in the back counting the money and doing all what they do. I said, here's my opportunity. I had $63.88. And I was going to go across the street, and there was a crack house on Palmetto across the street from the Church of God by Faith.
Wow.
And Dr. McKnight said, you young man, if I was you, I would leave this church tonight, because you're going to go out the door and destruction is going to meet you and you're going to die. And I froze. I tried to open the door seemed like, and there was no usher standing there. I was trying to push the door wouldn't move. Dr. McKnight come out the pulpit and came. He prophesied, he prayed over me, and they had all these preachers and all these people. They had me down, they was praying over me, they was speaking in tongues. So Dr. Jonathan McKnight.
Oh, I remember Dr. Jonathan McKnight. Oh, I do. Yeah. I remember that. But let's go on to that's such a powerful story, so rich in the history in your story, and I know it's going to bless someone. So I just want to kind of get through some of these the questions where what happened to you while you were behind that wall. Was there any point of any positive change? Did you see wherein you gained any kind of education? Did you change? Did you gain any skills? Was there any kind of development or spiritual development? Or did this all really just happen after you came home? Daddy shot that shotgun?
Yes,
it changed your life.
It started from the 30R6 to walking around the street, the Deacon Jeffrey Jerome Jackson house. This man chased me out of stores. I've had $700-800 worth of steaks and meat, filet mignon, oxtails, whatever, beer and cigarettes. I mean, he chased me, and I was stealing.
Oh, wow.
And he would say, why are you doing what you're doing? God got it. Everybody was telling me, even in the midst of doing wrong, there's a calling on your life. I was out in Phoenix. I was out in Portland, Oregon, Phoenix, and Dallas, Texas, working with some guys that wasn't doing right. I was driving the car, the getaway car. They were robbing banks and doing things. I was driving the car. We would get to where we were going. I would be ever so happy. But I was in Dallas, Texas, doing a major robbery. And the guys that was doing the robbery got to the motel. We split the money up. They took me to the bus station and they said, "Little church boy, go home.
Wow.
This is our world. This is not your world. You go home."
Wow.
So
it even knew. Everybody knew but you. You did not grab a hold of what was your destiny. But you did eventually grab a hold to that. So let's tell me, let's go to the community outreach. Let's go to highlight some of the things. What have you been doing once Daddy shot this shotgun? Pastor Jonathan McKnight prayed for you. That door refused to open. God saved you that day. So how have you taken what God did for you or your story, and how has it changed? What have you been doing in the community? What have you been doing?
The judge that sentenced me, I was facing 15 years to life. Mm-hmm. And I got 2 years probation.
Oh, wow.
And 2 years house arrest and 2 years house arrest followed by 3 years regular probation. And I had to do 5 years paper or do life in prison. But during that time, the judge stated that he was going to give me every stipulation that was within a defendant being charged for it. For an example, every store that I had stole out of, that I had been caught stealing out of, I had to write a letter and go back to that store and ask for an apology and have that store give me a letter to bring back to the judge during that 5-year period. Wow. Wasn't an easy test. He also made me join Youth for Christ and some pastors, and to go around with them. He put me under their wing. Wow. Youth for Christ is an organization that Billy Graham started in 1955, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And I worked with I had to meet with these people, and I had Hope. It was called Hope Now. It was called Hope Now. Was an outreach ministry, and it was funded by it was funded by Lakeland. I said it earlier. Lakeland. Mm-hmm. Lakeland. It was funded by an organization in Lakeland. Mm-hmm. And they was the ones that helped me, and we went to school. They put us back in school. They put us through a training process, and we were given an opportunity to. Some of the charges were, once you did the 5-year probation, once you did the community service, and once you did everything that was given to you by the judge, it wasn't placed upon your record. Even though I pleaded agitated guilty, I pleaded no content, not knowing the outward. I was the outward of completing no content. Mm-hmm. But from all of that, from all of this, writing these letters, all of this Youth for Christ, all of this community service I had to go through, and they sent me specifically to where God was. He sent me to the American Legion in Winter Haven next to the tag agency. Mm-hmm. The judge had to sign where to go. Go to the American Legion tag agency and go in there and use the man's name and everything. Wow. Go to Youth for Christ. This is the person you go to. The 5 or 6, 10, and I think I got 5 of the 7 letters, and it was so hard to get the other 2. So coming up to the court for me to get off probation, the other 2 stores, seeing what I was doing with the Youth for Christ and within the community and trying to help other people, help veterans, and one of the guys was on the Veteran Administration Board in Tampa, and I was a part of that as well, homeless vets. And I was working with them as well, trying to help veterans, feed veterans, doing all kinds of things within the community and in the neighborhood. And then I was doing the juvenile detention center. I was going down there speaking. I was going to the jail speaking. Then I went to inmate prison. It was at Lower, where I went to that was going to be executed in a couple weeks. During that process of walking down that long aisle for praying for someone that's going to be executed, that was the real change in my life, to say, hey, this is it. Dr. McKnight, Jerome Jackson, everybody done a great job in helping me, being there for me, giving me money, giving me food, giving me a place to stay. My mother and father was grateful to allow me to stay in their house. until I got on my feet, until I moved forward. And today, even today, I still do the George Harris Runaway Shelter. I be there the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. I do the prison ministry the fourth Thursday of the month. I go to church Mondays and Wednesdays and Sundays. So I give back to the community. I'm involved with Come Out, Stay Out, Bishop T. Holden. I have my own vision of hope for life. I left the jailhouse on my way to the crack house, but I stopped by the church house. That's my slogan for my vision of hope for life. That is the way I have lived my life since all this going through from way back in 1989 up into the present time today. God has been good to me. I'm traveling the road. I'm an author now of a book, His Strength for My Weakness. I do ministry. I travel. I mean, God has been ever so grateful to me. I'm an ordained minister now. And I'm just really blessed with a whole host of my friends, pastor friends, churches, loved ones, family. I have a lovely wife that was my high school sweetheart in 1978 in high school that we just recently married 2 years ago. I mean, God has blessed me and placed me around people who are living a life, living for the Lord, doing what's right. And I can't ask for a better life right now, even though I went through a bad situation. But I'm not ashamed of the situation I've been through, because God had to take me through that in order to get me to the now. Many times in our life, we don't want to go through nothing. We want everything just to be good. But sometimes somebody, even though Paul had a thorn in his flesh, and God could have taken it out, but God had to remind Paul. See, so there's times in my life I'm reminded I can't make a mistake. I can't get a traffic ticket. I can't get another charge, because it could be very bad for me. It could have me to go for prison for life. So to anyone that's going to be reading this article, yes, or whatever,
I was going to say, can you give some message of hope? Tell the people, encourage someone who's going to read your article. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to take away from your story?
I want to encourage every man or woman who has ever been incarcerated, who has ever been down, as we call in the joint. You've been down. How many times? They got a saying in the joint. How many times you been down? Oh, I'm just an 8. I just went to prison one time myself. Did I get it right the first time? No, because I still went back to jail. I was still incarcerated. I was still doing drugs. I was going to the NA. I was going to the AA meeting. It's on the honor system. If you're clean, you're clean. If you're high, you're high. We just, as individuals, have to just be honest with ourselves and just tell the truth. God can take a man from the pit and put him in the palace. But in order for you to change, I got a testimony that I got a t-shirt, a plaque, and a trophy. But I got a testimony. You can be brought out. God will bring you out only if you want to be brought out. It's up to the individual. So everyone, you can be brought out. Don't think that your situation is bad enough that you can't be brought out. Don't think that it's I don't understand situation, because God is the Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and He's the end. There ain't nothing too big or too small for God. God is sitting on the throne waiting on you to make a change. If I was you, look in that mirror today, as Michael Jackson said, and make that change. You can do it.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Minister Mahoney.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Me to interview you today. I just want you to take just a moment, take the 60 seconds and tell the people how they can get your book, or if they want to get in contact with you to be a part of their ministry or an event that they may be having. Just tell people how they can get in contact with you.
If you want to contact me, Vision of Hope for Life, Minister Irvin L. Mahoney. My phone number, 863-440-3870. My email, lowercase IRV mahoney@gmail.com. I left the jailhouse on my way to the crack house, but I stopped by the church house. If you need a speaker, if you need an event planner, if you need someone for a musical to MC or help you with programs, call me, email me. If you need someone to be a guest speaker at your church for the youth, if you need someone at your prison to come in and speak in order to talk to groups of youth, young offenders, juvenile offenders, runaway shelters, homeless shelters, call me, text me, email me. I'm willing to come. Remember, if you go with God, God will go with you. God loves you, and so do I. That's my radio.
Ah, thank you so much, Minister Mahoney. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Yes,